Good morning, everybody. It is Road to Recovery, and I am late. I am super, super late. Major apologies. It's been quite the week. Um, yeah, so I did not post anything to social media announcing the fact that I was to do Monday morning chat this morning. I just was just dragging ass. So I figured, you know what? I just got to come on and do it because if I don't do it, I'm going to feel bad about it later. Like last week, I didn't get a chance to do Monday morning chat. And anyway, my name's Road Recovery, and this is a online chat. I always do it every single Monday to kind of just discuss porn addiction and porn addiction recovery. My story and my life is all posted on this account. You can go check my various videos, but I do this specifically so that I can interact with my audience. And if anybody happens to show up, they can go ahead and use the chat feature, which I've activated right now. You can chat your comments, concerns, questions. If you want to talk about porn recovery, let's chat about it. If not, if I don't get anybody on this morning, I will just talk about the things that I want to talk about. So that's exactly what I will do right now. So good morning, everybody. And Halloween is right around the corner, and I am glad if you can just tune on in. Glad that you made it, man. You know what? Every single day we keep coming back. That's just another day in the recovery space. That's just working your butt off in order to make yourself a better person, right? Staying out of our addiction is just part of the equation. The other half of it is working on you, man. It's like building yourself up. The only way you do that is you keep coming back. All right. I figured today what I was going to do was just take a look at some of the comments that I had inside of my YouTube account and see if there's anything that I could answer. I'll just do it online so you guys can hear a chat version of it. Um, Somebody named Gamer Cave asked me, so what was your charge and what were you convicted of? So I covered it in my video about my arrest, but I was charged with 3 counts of distribution. I ultimately was convicted of, or I pled guilty to, one charge of possession, and that was it sucked. Yeah, it sucked having to live through that. But I consider 2022 was my exoneration of sorts because I was able to go back before a judge, and the judge took me off the SO list. So I have one more legal hurdle for myself to conquer, and that is getting my charge expunged. So yeah, it's a long story, and if you want to, there's like I said, I've got a couple of videos up, but the one that's inside of the the stories of a porn addict is where I get really into some details about what had happened with my arrest. Um, Someone named Ferguson comments, the best thing by far you could have done for you and your family is lawyer up right from the beginning. Even if you're innocent, doesn't matter. Always ask for a lawyer. 100% correct. And one of my stories that I tell, October is my big month in 12-step rooms. I That's the month I was arrested, and that's the month where I tell my story. And so this last month, partially one of the reasons it's been busy for me is because I've gone around to several rooms and I stand up and for a half an hour, I tell as much as I can possibly cram in that half hour of the story that had happened to me and share all the details that had happened. But one of the important parts of that story, when I talk about, thinking about higher power and how you can use higher power in your life, is showing some appreciation for like how sometimes the universe works in your favor, even when shit's going haywire. And one of those stories that I tell was that in the day before my arrest, there was a podcast that I was listening to, and during that podcast, it's a financial podcast. It was a hurricane going on that year, and the podcaster was based out of Miami, so he couldn't do his podcast. So instead, he put a lawyer on who was talking about why you should never talk to the police, and that was the most informative thing I could have ever gotten because the next day I was about to be arrested. So, fuck the police. I never talked to them. And that's the best attitude you could ever have when you get into any sort of legal trouble is I'm going to wait till I get a chance to speak to my attorney. Always do that. Always do that. I'm hoping you never get into any legal trouble, regardless of what the legal trouble is. But if you get into legal trouble, don't talk to the police. Gotta get a lawyer first. All right. What else do we have here? Do, 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 do. Jake says, "Did you get in trouble for downloading? I'm just curious. People upload that shit all day today on Twitter, etc." And it doesn't matter. This is something I communicate a lot to other porn addicts, especially inside of 12-step rooms. You are responsible for you, man. And one of the things I can really say is that because I started when I was starting to look at porn when I was 7 years old. I'm a 50-year-old man now, so it took decades of constantly doing this. But what it does is it erodes your moral and ethical um, walls, so to speak. Like, we always have boundaries, and some of those boundaries are reinforced by our ethical beliefs. And I really believe that you keep doing if you're in constantly in a space of debauchery and like yeah, where where you're saying it doesn't matter, where you're mentally telling yourself things don't matter. It's like, I'm still a good person, but I'm going to hang out in this space where you've just got a bunch of numbskulls like doing like really debauch things. It's like, what's going to happen over time? Your sense and your standards start to decline to such a point as which you'll take on activities that you shouldn't be taking on. It's just going to happen. And I really do believe that you put yourself in that space, right? You start lowering your standards, and as a consequence, even though you're putting yourself as the other, like those people are the ones who are the perverts and the whatever. Um, if you're hanging out in that space, that makes you one too. Hate to say it, man. It really does. Don't put yourself in that space. I did it. I absolutely 100% deserved what I got. And that's what I try to communicate to people. It's like, I put myself in that space. You got to take ownership for that shit, man. Now, should I have gotten the ass kicking I got? That's up for debate. I still think that there's plenty of room for like discussion. Uh, and one of the things I like to say is like, it's not just in a pornography space. Like, this is when we talk about space in which ethics and morality matter online. It's all over the place, man. And any particular day, I could open up X, and if I don't go into my following, if I go to the other tab for you, the recommended stuff, there's like, I have never want to look at any violence, dude. There's like at least dozens of fight videos up there, right? So it's against my moral conscience. I don't want to see other people getting their ass whipped. And I would, if you came to me, it's like, yeah, I like watching, some bum fight another bum. It's like, dude, really? It's like, you really got to start asking questions of yourself. Like, what does that say for you as a human being that you like watching other human beings getting their ass kicked, right? Or watching war footage, or like, regardless of what those things are, it's like you're watching another human get destroyed, man. Like, I think that really says a lot about your character and about your ethical personality, the person who you are, if you put yourself into that space. Um, so yeah, yeah. What other people do, what all those other people do on social media, the people who are, pushing, sketchy content and like, pushing whether it's false narratives or just stupid crap, like, you're engaging in it. By consuming it, you're engaging in it. And are you any better off than that person who's like pushing the content? And I would say that, if you find yourself still constantly consuming that content, you got to stop asking questions of the other and start asking questions of yourself, right? And that's the spiritual nature, I think, of the program. It's like, once you can start re-examining the person who you are, right, and really asking those big picture questions. It's like, yeah, why do I put myself in that space? Why am I picking up the phone and like looking at, you know, this content? Um, you know, we keep we keep looking out of our eyeballs, right? And from that first person view, and like looking directly into various content wells of social media, and keep thinking about the other rather than thinking about ourselves. But once we start thinking about, what does this say of me that I am watching this? Well, why aren't you offended? Why aren't you, you know, why aren't you speaking out about things, or pushing away from things, or even turning off the phone and throwing the damn thing in the corner, right? And the chances are is that, you're so in a habitual pattern of doing these things, either because you're bored, or you just want an outlet, or there's nothing on TV, usually because boredom's playing a factor in it. And this gives you the dopamine hit, right? It's like that little bit of dopamine, and something different, keep swiping, right? The more you keep doing that, the more it like lowers the bar for you as a person. Which is why I'm a really big believer that, I hate to say it, man, if you can't manage your own online content, if you can't manage being in an online space without looking at some pretty horrendous shit, then maybe consider deleting the app, or just getting off social media altogether. Shit, I deleted Facebook in 2011. That was before I even realized what the shit was going on with my brain. But I could already tell even back then that something was amiss. Like, I found myself spending more time like looking on my iPhone back in the day. And but I could also see, when I was working at the technology company I was employed with, the really heinous shit. Like, you think the stuff that you see on social media is heinous. You should see what the social media companies do with your data. If you only knew, man, you would never get back on social media again. And that's why I use it sparingly. You hardly ever see me online. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? Any other questions? Somebody asked me what year it was. I can't talk about the year. I cannot talk about the year, and it's part of my privacy aspect. But yeah, I just keep that one offline for right now. Keep doing this. Your videos. Yeah, I really like seeing the positive comments. Thank you very much. Some people are saying, um, same as talked about. Keep doing videos, man. Please, this is fascinating stuff. Yes, reason why I keep doing the videos is because I want to give back and help you guys stay off porn. Um, how is porn or masturbation fun at all when you're drinking? So I was talking about like, my habits when I was masturbating, and a lot of times I would go to the liquor store and grab like a six pack, and then I would spend hours online watching porn while I had beers in my hands. And that's actually kind of fascinating for me, because the people are just like, "Hey, I don't get it. Why would you drink and do porn? That just sounds." And for me, you think about it, like, I had a stressful day at work. I want to relax. I'm trying to calm down, because, like, and I think for this guy, what he's talking about is like that level of stimulation that comes with pornography. It gets him up. It gets him ramped up. And I get it. I actually get it. But my pattern at that time when I started drinking heavily was, I was coming home like up here already. I was ramped up, 6, 8 cups of coffee that I had during the day, a workout. I couldn't calm down, and I needed to lower it down. So for me, alcohol was that way. I could just kind of chill out and take a drink, and then watch some porn and get stimulated, and that's all I needed, man. It's like I was actually trying to do the exact opposite. But there's been days where I've been like the ramping up effect is like, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling too relaxed, I'm trying to go the opposite direction with it. So I get what he's saying. um see, Fahey Lilly said, the concept of sexual harassment means that all participants involved must freely and willingly agree to engage in sexual consent means that all participants involved must freely and willingly agree to engage in sexual activity. Yes, I agree with it. Yeah. But this comment came in the context of talking about the problematic use of porn watching. See, we got a morning comment here. Good job. I had to leave, but really like your work. No, thank you. Appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Let's see, who else do we got here? GC commented, I don't even like to talk about the cops when I'm pulled over for something stupid like speeding. It's true, man. Any see anybody with a badge, and any sort of law enforcement officer, even if they're like friends of family or stuff like that, but you really have to watch what you're saying because as an officer of the court, anything that you say and do can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's what they say in the cop shows anyway, but it's true. Micha says, "Thank you, man. I haven't had a girl yet, and I know that if I ever want to, I need to kick the hideous habit from my life. It took me a while to understand the damage it caused." Yeah, yeah, and it's a really complex, like talking about the effects of your porn consumption on other people in your life. It's a really mixed bag, man. Because like, for example, like with my wife didn't care. Like she honestly wasn't that concerned about me consuming pornography. Um, but the problem is that it did affect her. Like my habits affected my psychological well-being, which was indirectly affecting her. And I've even had to sit down and explain that to her, like telling her it's like I really truly believe that a lot of because I'll get to this in a second. I could feel my psychological well-being declining over a period of time, and after my arrest, that's where my rock bottom was. I had never felt so low in my life, and I had to go through a spiritual rebirth, so to speak. The spirituality is in my. I look at the Jungian interpretation of it is where you're trying to work on yourself, but there's a lot more to that spirituality. I almost want to like tell you that there's some feeling of spirituality that happens with inside of you where you feel like the person you are is being lifted upwards, and it's like an emotional state. Like I feel that my emotional state is much better having been off porn. And it took like a month, but I could feel it. I could feel my spirit rising. Like I could feel like I was more in touch with who I was. I felt I was more in tune with my own sense of fundamental well-being. Um, and I wasn't that way before. Like that's how dead I felt inside. After I had gone through the recovery process, I recognized that this work that I was doing was paying off for me in ways that all the other stuff I had done in my past never had. Whether it was me chasing like career goals, trying to be the best father I possibly could, like, trying to be a good husband, like all those things are worthwhile, notable things that you should probably be doing with your life. But the work that I was doing on myself, when I actually was forced to start working on myself, I started feeling better, man. I just started feeling better. Um, and so all that shit I was doing before, the constant engaging in porn and my drinking and this the self pleasure seeking, so to speak, was impacting my wife, was impacting my child. That's the stories of a porn addict, and you can hear the indirect ways I was affecting others. But I started spending more time with my daughter, started spending more time with my wife. I started having more real conversations with her, like not conversations where both of us are sitting on a cell phone and I occasionally say something to her. I mean, like looking her in the eyes and saying, you know what? I really appreciate you. You're a fantastic person. I'm glad you're in my life, right? What it took me 3 seconds to say that, right? And even as those words are coming out of my mouth, I feel it. I feel it, man. It's good stuff. All right, what else we got? You downloaded like 1 million videos and they found 3 illegal ones. Wow, you got lucky anyway. Speedy recovery, man. Yeah, yeah. Sucks ass. It does suck ass. Um, how much damage did the police do during search? You know what? That's a good question. They really didn't damage anything. I didn't have my doors kicked down. They just kept on knocking until I opened up the damn door. But they didn't damage any what happens is that they took my all the electronic devices out of my house. So iPads, laptops. There were a couple of ones they were able to clear, like, what means that they log in and they run their scan and they didn't find anything, and they actually allowed me to keep those devices. But anything that they couldn't immediately check got taken and was seized, and I was seized for like over a year. Um, so yeah, I basically lost some devices for over a year. But like after after I went through my disposition and I went to jail, they allow you to pick up the devices if you want them. And I told them they could keep the fucking laptop. At that point, I didn't give any shit anymore. I was so mad at myself. But I went back and I got my iPad back, and I was pissed because they actually swipe. What they do is like there was nothing on my iPad at all. There was absolutely nothing. I only used my iPad for like reading stuff, and they still wiped it clean. So I had to go back in and resession back in my account. It was a pain in the ass. I lost the part that really sucked. Here's the damage. Here's the real damage. Is I had an iPhone 7 at the time, and there was nothing bad on that either. I never did anything bad on my cell phones, surprisingly. Um, my pictures of my daughter, I had the iPhone 3S when it first came out, and I had been taking pictures of my daughter and my wife, and at some point, the backup to the iCloud got maxed out, and I was no longer doing any backups, and I was backing up to my local computer instead. And that had been going on for years. So after the police seized that, they swiped. Not only did they wipe my iPad, they wiped my iPhone. I lost all of those photos since my daughter was a little baby. And boy, was that I wish they would have cut off my arm. I would have gladly lost my arm as opposed to losing those photos. It just sucked, man. Like I felt like a huge chunk of my life was just like erased. Um, it's like I couldn't go back and relive the memories of like all the things I had done with my daughter. You know, we had camping trips and vacations, and pictures of when she first walked, videos of like her walking and stuff like that. I lost all of that, man. I was so mad. Um, so yeah, that to me was the real damage. There's no actual property damage, so like nothing physically was broken inside of my house. All right, I think that's it for right now. Yeah, so hey, it's Halloween time, man. It's getting spooky out there. it's a, I'm looking out the window. It's like a beautiful fall day, man. I got leaves falling. It's fantastic. So I wish you guys the best Halloween possible, and I'm hoping that you take something from this. We had one commenter, but if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can always drop me an email at road to recovery 11. That's road the number two. Yeah, I'll type it in the chat. Road the number two recovery 11 at yahoo.com. Yep. So if you ever need to reach out, if you have questions, comments, concerns, I can help you with whatever I can help you with, and guide you to the places that you need to get to if you need more assistance. I'm also still looking for anyone who wants to do an interview. So if you have 3 months of sobriety under belt, drop me a line because I am looking to do another interview with somebody that's had some time in recovery and just wants to talk about it. So talk to me about your motivations. I can promise you anonymity, so no one will see your face. We can distort. I have the software to distort your voice. And we probably wouldn't do it live. I would just pre-record everything. And the way it normally works is I record the entire video, I send it back to you with all the edits in place, and then you can approve or disapprove um, if you want to change anything. So then we just post it to the account, and so other people can see what your recovery process is like and be able to hear what it's like to for a person going into recovery to know what the challenges and concerns are when they're doing this whole procedure. I feel it's really beneficial, and the more we talk about, the problems of porn addiction and what it's like having to go through recovery, the better off we actually are. Next Monday, I will be back online, and I promise I'll do it at 9 o'clock sharp, at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So, anyway, drop me a line if you have any comments, questions, and concerns, and please stay on that road to recovery. Have a good day. Take care of yourself.